Dominicana. Hay
Alexa,
emergencia por la temporada.
play the news from NPR.
In NPR News.
NPR informs and connects communities around the country, providing reliable information in times of crisis. Federal funding helps us fulfill our mission to create a more informed public and ensures that public radio remains available to everyone. Learn more about safeguarding the future of public media. Visit protectmypublicmedia.org.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. U.S. tariffs against China are expected to soar to 104% right after midnight, an escalation in the trade war between the world's two biggest economies. President Trump is moving forward with his threat to drive up tariffs if China failed to drop its retaliatory levies on U.S. goods by today. U.S. stocks have swung back to negative territory. Major market indices ended the day down roughly 0.75% to more than 2%. The Dow had erased its more than 1,400-point gains. NPR's Scott Horsley has been tracking the market volatility.
Stocks rebounded early in the day as investors focused on news that South Korea and other trading partners are working to make a deal with the Trump administration. The White House press secretary says nearly 70 countries have reached out in hopes of striking a compromise. President Trump seems open to deal-making and directed his team to craft tailor-made agreements based on each country's circumstances. The short-lived market rally fizzled late in the day, however, as investors faced up to the fact that double-digit tariffs are set to take effect overnight on goods the U.S. imports from dozens of countries. Economists say those import taxes will raise prices and slow economic growth. Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
The IRS has reached an agreement with immigration authorities to share tax information about some immigrants without legal status. NPR's Joel Rose reports the deal marks a major change in how tax records can be used.
In a court filing, a top IRS official shared a memorandum of understanding between the tax collector and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement that was executed on Monday. Under the terms of the deal, ICE officers can ask the IRS for information about immigrants who have final orders of removal or are under criminal investigation. The court filing came in a lawsuit brought by immigrant advocacy groups that are seeking to block any information sharing between the IRS and ICE. Immigrants without legal status pay billions of dollars in taxes. Tax experts warn that the change could undermine immigrants' trust in the IRS, pushing them to seek jobs where they are paid under the table. Joel Rose, NPR News, Washington.
The National Weather Service is no longer offering weather alerts in Spanish. NPR's Lauren Summer says the Trump administration's decided to stop paying for the translation service.
For 30 years, the National Weather Service has translated its weather forecasts into Spanish, including severe weather alerts. In 2023, it contracted with a company called Lilt to use artificial intelligence for translations into Spanish, Chinese, and other languages. Now, the National Weather Service says it's pausing those translations because the contract was not renewed. The Trump administration has been cutting contracts as part of what it calls cost-saving measures. Disaster experts say translating weather alerts is critical for helping people survive hurricanes and tornadoes. Lauren Summer, NPR News.
This is NPR. For now, the Supreme Court's blocking a federal judge's order for the administration to rehire 16,000 probationary federal workers. The stay is temporary and an indication a majority of the Supreme Court is inclined to take up the case. A Soyuz spacecraft carrying American astronaut Johnny Kim and 2 Russian cosmonauts is now docked safely at the International Space Station. NPR's Charles Maines notes that space exploration is taking on an increasingly prominent role in U.S.-Russia negotiations under the Trump administration.
Johnny Kim, along with Russia's Sergei Ryzhikov and Alexei Zubritsky, blasted off from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan aboard a Soyuz MS-27 rocket. The crew will spend the next 8 months in orbit aboard the International Space Station. Under the Biden administration, the Kremlin threatened to end its participation in the ISS project altogether, citing differences over Ukraine. Yet as President Trump has sought to re-engage with Russia, the Kremlin has turned to its space program to further bolster relations. One of the Kremlin's key envoys in negotiations has even suggested Russia working together with the billionaire and SpaceX founder Elon Musk to launch a joint mission to Mars. Charles Maines, NPR News, Moscow.
Some foodies in Germany are especially animated about their white asparagus. The veggie's arrival signals the unofficial start of spring. People are lining up for fresh white asparagus, so-called white gold. The Associated Press reports restaurants are advertising special menus offering white asparagus with melted butter or hollandaise sauce, smoked ham, or schnitzel. I'm Lakshmi Singh, NPR News.
Listen to this podcast sponsor-free on Amazon Music with a Prime membership or any podcast app by subscribing to NPR News Now Plus at plus.npr.org. That's plus.npr.org.